Hey guys, it's Ashley, and today we're going to be talking about Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard, The Ship of the Dead by Rick Riordan. See, I'm not waiting 7 months to post this one, huh? Huh? Be proud of me. If you don't already know or haven't heard the million times I've said it on my channel already, the Magnus Chase series is Rick Riordan's series following Norse mythology. We follow Magnus Chase and Sam and Alex and Blitz and Hearth and the whole gang as they go on these quests in the Norse world. I don't know another way to put it. This is the third book in the trilogy. The first two books are really, really good, but this book honestly was by far my favorite. I absolutely loved it, and it had me hooked and needing to read every second of every day, even though I couldn't, but I wanted to. I don't know what it was about this book, but it was just a combination of the characters and the plot and just the action that was in it that just really, really, really made me want to keep reading. I don't really have a whole lot to say for the non-spoilery section, just because this is the third book in the series and I don't want to spoil any of the other stuff. But, you know, like I've said, my favorite book, and if you haven't read the series already, please do, because it's really, really incredible, and it's so diverse, and it just really drives it home with this one. So that's all I'm gonna say for the non-spoilery section. If you haven't read it yet, please pick it up and then come back so we can discuss. Goodbye, non-spoilery people. So let's go. We open this book with one of the best scenes that I have read in a Rick Riordan book. Magnus and Percy and Annabeth, and it's amazing. Percy is teaching Magnus how to navigate a ship and how to fall from a ship without dying and all of this stuff, and it's so great. And it's so funny that he thinks that Magnus can do all of this, even though he's the son of Poseidon and, you know, touching the sea heals him, whereas Magnus has nothing to do with that. So it's like, how is he expecting Magnus to fall from a ship and not die? I don't know. But the scene was so great because we got so many tidbits from previous books. Like, we got stories about Jason and Frank, and, you know, they called each other Wise Girl and Seaweed Brain and Tartarus. They mentioned Tartarus, and it was just the best, and I died throughout the entire scene. I loved it so much. All we know in the beginning of this book is that Magnus and his gang and the roommates of Floor 19, Mallory and Halfborn and TJ, they are all going on this quest to stop Loki from starting Ragnarok, and they have to sail there, and it's going to be great. So we start off with Magnus and Alex, and I have to say, they describe them as being really great friends in the beginning. I wrote in my notes, I said, if they don't get together by the end of this book, I'm gonna have to have a few words with Rick Riordan, because that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable to lead us on like this and then not do it. But let me tell you, I'm not gonna say anything now. I'm gonna wait till the end of this video, but it was great, and I loved every second. One of my favorite lines at this point from Alex: respect the gender. Something else that I really enjoyed reading about in the beginning of this book before they sailed off was the differences between Sam and Alex regarding Loki's power. So right before they sail off, we do get a hint that Alex has been trying to help Sam overcome the obstacle of the fact that Loki can make them do whatever he wants by telling them. It's like this weird Loki-child relationship thing. I don't know why it's a thing, but it is. He can like order them around and they have to do what he says. I really liked the way that they described their relationship to his power. So Alex believes in claiming Loki's power as her own and, you know, using it to her own advantage. Sam wants to escape the power in order to overcome it. And it's just a very different approach to these two things. We can obviously see that Alex's approach works better because she obviously doesn't listen to Loki when he tells her to do things, but still, it's really interesting to see because they're technically half siblings. And we know that by the end, Sam is able to overcome Loki's abilities and, you know, his orders, and it's great and I love it, but in the beginning it's just really interesting to see their differences. Okay, so the first time that I actually started cracking up laughing when they get to the giant's lair thing. So they're sailing in the Big Banana, their giant yellow ship, which in itself was just hilarious. And they're in like the Boston Harbor or wherever they are. They haven't even gotten out of Boston yet, and they get sucked under the sea by these sea goddesses. They can't even go like 10 feet without something happening, and it's so funny. So they're in this giant's lair. I can't remember what his name was. He apparently is the husband to the goddess of nets, who like captured him in the first book and he got out. If you remember this, he's apparently her husband, and so she has a grudge grudge against Magnus. And so they go in and they sit down and they're like, you're not gonna kill us, are you? And he's like, no. I mean, unless one of you is Magnus Chase, then I will have to kill you. But the part that actually made me die was when they walk in and they see Blitz and Hearth hanging in the cages. Like, it's not funny. It's terrifying. They're gonna die. That's what it seems like. But this is the beginning of the book. They're like, we have no idea where Hearth and Blitz have been. And then they walk in and they're prisoners in the giant's cages. It's great. Go figure. So as we know with Rick Riordan's books, especially in the Magnus Chase series, we have this quest that we're going on, we have this ultimate goal, but to get there we need a few things before we can get there. So in this book we need, number one, Kavirseer's mead. I still can't say his name, but it's this mead that when Magnus drinks it will give him the ability to, poetically insult Loki so badly that he will win the flighting, which is like this insult contest that he challenged Loki to, and everybody's like, oh, Magnus, why did you do that? You're not gonna be able to win. And then they're like, oh wait, we can find this mead that will give you the power to insult him so badly that you will win. But then we also need this whetstone, which didn't we have a whetstone in the second book that sharpens the sword or the knife to free Loki? Well, now we need another whetstone to do something else. I don't even know what we needed it for. I already forgot, but we need something. So Blitz and Hearth are apparently gonna go try to get the whetstone, and all the other people are gonna go get the mead. That's the plan, at least. So I want to focus a little bit on the quests that Magnus and his whole gang go on to try to find the mead. And I want to focus more on the roommates, TJ, Mallory, Halfborn. I loved seeing more of them. I have to say, I loved being able to completely characterize and learn more about their backstories. I absolutely loved it. In the first few books, we only got short mentions of them. In the first one, we got to meet them more because Magnus was new to Valhalla. And in the second one, he was barely in Valhalla, so we barely got to see them. But in this book, they are with us from the very beginning, and it is absolutely great. So TJ is actually the son of the god Tyr, who is the battle god or the war god or whatever, which means that TJ basically has to accept every challenge that he's challenged to. And it's so funny because at the very end, when the gods come down to thank them for stopping Ragnarok or whatever, Tyr is like, take my hand, son. And he's like, and he goes, I challenge you to take my hand. And he's like, okay. TJ, we actually get his backstory, and the reason that he's in Valhalla, the way that he died, was that he was in the Civil War, and this guy, Jeffrey, his rival in the Confederacy, he challenged him, and then TJ rose up to the challenge and fought him, and they both ended up in Valhalla. And for years after that, they fought, and they kept killing each other on the battlefield until finally one day they were just like, why are we doing this? And I really, really love his backstory. He's such a strong character, and, overcoming all the obstacles that he has, it's just incredible. My favorite part about his character being in this book, though, was when they go to England. They go to York, I'm pretty sure, right? This is when he has the battle with the stone giant, one of those two, and he gets there, and he's walking around everybody going, thank you for not supporting the Confederacy. It's like, thank you for not getting involved in the war. Thank you. You're a good person. I love you. I love Britain. Thank you for not supporting the Confederates. It's so funny. Especially because the Civil War was like 200 years before that. Then we get a little bit of backstory about Halfborn when we are in Norway, I think. We are in Flam, and Flam, that's how I'm pronouncing it. It does have the two little dots over the A, so I don't know how that works, but Flam is actually his hometown. His backstory is that he grew up in Flam and then went on this journey with one of the most famous Vikings to try to make his mother proud, but then never saw his mother again because he died on that journey. And it just, it breaks my heart. He's such a, strong, charged into battle guy, but on the inside, it's like he has a heartbreaking backstory, and I feel for him. I feel for him. And then we have Mallory, who is a very complex character to me. Her backstory is that she grew up in Ireland. She basically put a car bomb in a school bus because she was told that it was going to be soldiers on the school bus, I think, but it turned out to be children. And then she had these revelations, and she decided that she was going to deactivate it, and this person came and gave her these daggers and said, look, they're unbreakable, go and deactivate the car bomb. And she tried to, and it blew up, and she died. Come to find out later on that that person was actually her mother, which turned out to be whatever her name is. Okay, I can't remember what her name is, but she's the wife of Odin. She's Mallory's mother, and she's the one who gave Mallory the daggers. And Mallory hates her. Just all of their backstories are just, I loved it. I loved reading about them. And then on top of all of that, we got more about Alex, because Alex is honestly a character who's been a main character since the second book, but we haven't really learned anything about her. We do know that she's gender fluid, obviously. In the last book, she was mostly referred to as her. In this one, she actually starts off as he, and then switches to her, and then goes back to he at the end. Anyways, we get more backstory about her. And she's making the clay soldier to fight against the giant's clay soldier, that part, and she's telling Magnus about her backstory. Her father was absolutely horrible, because remember, Loki was actually her mother. Her father was absolutely horrible to her, and she loved her grandfather with all of her heart, and when the grandfather died, and and her heritage, and all of that, it was just, my heart. Okay, so I'm gonna switch gears and talk about the Alfheim scenes for a minute. So Magnus and Hirth and Blitz go to Alfheim because apparently Hirth's dad, who was now this crazy, greedy, creepy, smelly dragon, has the whetstone that they need. So they go, Hirth actually summons the spirit of his brother and Riordan, and they fight the dragon and they kill the dragon, and it was just like the strength that Hirth had to draw from himself to be able to summon his brother and to not, like, crumble. I just, and the fact that his brother loves him and forgives him. Then that whole moment is shattered when we realize that Magnus has to eat the heart of the dragon, or Hirth does, or somebody has to eat the heart. Why? Why is that a thing? What? I don't get it. But Magnus ends up like tasting the blood and it's enough, and then all of a sudden, he can hear animals speak and talk to animals, and I died. I can't. Why? Why of all the things that could have happened to him when he tasted the blood, did he be able to talk to animals? I don't know. Okay, so we get the whetstone from Alfheim, and we get the mead, and Mallory literally, like, kills the game with those giant slaves. She just, like, they all stabbed each other at once because of what she did, and it was so freaking great. Then we get the mead, and can we just talk about for a minute how the giant behind the doors just gave them the mead? Just no questions asked, just gave him the, you coming for the mead? Oh, here. Oh, I have a garden hose in the cave with me. Let me just put it, and let me siphon you the mead with the random garden hose that I have. No questions asked. Just, here you go. Have it. There you go. And then they go to Niflheim and freeze to death. But this is where the best scene in the entire book comes into play. So they're in Niflheim and their ship gets stuck. So Magnus takes the ship and he turns it back into a handkerchief, and they go and they walk across the ice because they're trying to get to whatever her name is, her mansion. Alex starts like curling up next to him underneath the blanket. Apparently, since he's the son of the summer god, he has this ability to not get cold very quickly, so Alex like snuggles up against him under the blanket so that she'll keep warm, and it's the cutest freaking thing ever. And in that moment, like, my heart stopped beating. I couldn't, and that would have been fine with me. And then the best thing in the whole book happens. So they're talking, and they're sure that they're going to die out there, and they are sure that they're going to freeze to death. And Alex looks at him and kisses him, and then she goes, "I couldn't die without doing that." And I literally have died. It is the best scene, and just okay, let's move on. So we get to the scene with the fighting. They finally make it to Loki's ship of toenails, which, number one, disgusting. And they finally make it there, and Magnus challenges Loki to the fighting. And he drinks the mead, and literally he feels like nothing happens. Loki tears him down. Loki insults him to the point where apparently he shrinks. Apparently in this fighting, you shrink down and then you're able to step on the person and that's how you win. It's very, very weird, but I'm gonna go with it. Loki tears him apart, and then Magnus, instead of trying to tear Loki apart, starts talking about his teammates' feats and what they have accomplished and how that makes him a better person. And Loki ends up shrinking, and it's the best thing ever, and I loved it to pieces. And then of course Magnus talks about how he kissed Alex and it's like the best thing that ever happened to him, and I'm just like, oh my god. And then everything is better. They capture Loki on a walnut and all the gods get together, as they usually do at the end of a series, to congratulate the kids on doing what they should have done themselves. I don't understand why the gods don't do anything themselves, but you know, that's just how it goes. And then we get to the conclusion. My absolute favorite part in this entire book, even beyond the original kiss between Alex and Magnus, was the fact that right after the kiss, when Magnus tries to talk to her about it, she kind of shuts him out and is kind of like, you know, I need to think about it. Just give me a few days. And he's like, what does that even mean? When they get back to Valhalla, Alex goes to Magnus's room. And at this point, Alex is a he, right? He kisses Magnus, and Magnus for a split second thinks, is it weird that I'm being kissed by a guy? And then completely just turns around that statement and goes, why would it be weird? I'm being kissed by Alex and it's the best thing that's ever happening, and kisses him back, and it's just, it's like I said in one of the other book talks that I did. I love how Magnus does not care at all that Alex is gender fluid. I love it, because so many people would have qualms about that. So many people would have issues with it, you know, and he doesn't. And it's amazing. And he never once questions. I mean, of course he questioned that one and then immediately circled back around, but I love it. And he's amazing, and I love these characters so much. So after that, it turns out that Magnus and Alex open a home for homeless kids so that they can stay and have a bite to eat and sleep and have a safe place to stay. I started crying. I couldn't hold it in. It was so beautiful and so great. And Hearth and Blitz did it with them. I love it so much. I can't express to you guys how much I love it. But then we get to the end. And I have a few things to say about the end. Number one, why do we end on an ominous note? What is this? Annabeth comes in and is talking to Magnus, and she's mentioning something about like some kind of like darkness or something that's gonna happen. And I just want to, what the fuck does that mean? Why do we have to end such an amazing book on such an ominous note? What is happening to Percy because she mentions that something's gonna happen? I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready, and I'm scared out of my mind, and I want to know if that is what's going to play out in the third Trials of Apollo book, or if that is going to happen in a different series. Is he writing any more books? I don't even know. I haven't heard anything about it. I really want to know, because I'm really scared now. Why do we always have to end on ominous notes? Why do things have to never work out? And so that is everything that I wanted to say about Magnus Chase and the Ship of the Dead. Thank you so much for watching. If you have read this book, please let me know what your favorite part was, and if you were excited, if Rick Riordan is going to write any more books, if you think he has, if you've heard anything about it, please let me know, because I've heard nothing, and I haven't really been in the little Rick Riordan stratosphere in a while, so let me know. But other than that, that is going to be it for this video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you later. Goodbye!